Good morning, everyone. Am I audible to all of you? Welcome to the fraternity. It seems yesterday when we were on that side of the chair, but to the elated profession, as we call this, and your dignified decision of choosing it, welcome to this fraternity. I'm here to address all of you onto which career path you should take ahead, or to throw some light on the pros and cons of every inch and corner the lane of legal profession grows, so as to make you take a very uh, known or a detailed decision onto what you want to pursue further. Because today, this profession has a lot of competition. The profession is growing in its stratas and forms. And amongst this all, to strive, it is, in my personal opinion, very important for all of you to at least have a path to look up to have a goal where you want to reach. In the process, the goal might change or your decisions of it might change, but there should be one way that you've chosen to walk upon as you start the legal journey. Um, as Percy sir said, the profession is growing now and has a lot of fragments and forums to pursue. Two of which we'll be discussing today will be litigational practice and judicial services. Litigational practice in form of practice with a law firm, sitconments, or independent practices, and judicial services, as we all know, in its own form. The pros and cons of both of it. As we start, judicial services are a very dignified, a very respectable profession. And if you desire to undertake the same, it comes with a lot of limitations that you have to adhere to. Lower judiciary, and it's a process building. Judicial services is a very, this profession in itself, I think, is a very process building profession. You have to invest years and years in it before you're able to reach to a place where you call yourself having achieved the goal. The enrichment happens during the process, but the goal achievement takes toiling years. So in a judicial, if we start with judicial recruitment or judiciary as a profession, it starts with lower judiciary, and the process building goes up to appointment as an apex court judge. Depends on how the journey unfolds while the way. But it is a profession which has a huge amount of responsibility involved and therefore a huge amount of limitations involved. Judiciary brings along power, responsibility. To fulfill those responsibility, you're given a lot of power, which at the very initial stage of your career is a great boon, is a great is a status repute, wherein you'll find yourself having in a position wherein you can demand respect without asking for it. Even when you join lower judiciary, you can demand huge lot of respect. And the advantage of it is that our system, our judicial system is built in a way that powers that a judicial magistrate has, an apex court judge does not. And vice versa. So therefore, that is there that you are at a stage wherein you can command people's life and where you can demand respect then. With it, the limitation that comes forth is that you cannot have a social life. In a judicial practice, you just cannot have a social life. And if it's a lower judiciary segment that you've joined, it's even more difficult because now with upcoming lok adalats, with the involvement of judiciary in social activities through NGOs, through different other fragments, a lower judicial judge is preoccupied with all of this even on weekends. Your court timings would be what it would be. There is no negotiation. Even if you're done with your work, you just cannot pack your bags and say that I'm done for the day. A lower judiciary judge is on duty 24/7. Productions can happen at any point of time in the day if it's required in an emergency. So you're on your toes, on your roll for almost 365 days a year and 24 hours. That wouldn't be an extravagant statement to make. With that, it is also that you are limited to have social interactions. You are limited to you have to be within the frame of your monetary investments, your lifestyle, the way you behave with people in general. So it's like saying that even if you have the money, you are not the boss of deciding how to use it. At least for a limited span. Everything grows with time. As and more you build the staircase, as and when you go up the strata, things loosen up a bit, but responsibilities will increase. In any judicial setup, you all will have a formal mechanism of work wherein the senior-junior relationship would have to be adhered to in a very strict sense. The disciplinary part of it would have to be adhered to in a very strict sense. So that is also one forum to be considered. Whereas in litigational practice, you do not have that in a stricto sensu perspective. The senior-junior relationship or the respect that you are to be giving to your seniors is not mandatory. And there is no dictum to it. There is no prescribed mannerism to it. Whereas the judiciary functions in a much more formal manner. The judiciary pays a very good remuneration or income at the start. Because even today, if we quote it and subject to corrections, but the lower judiciary would be offering you almost 80,000 a lakh rupees a month, which is a very good amount for a startup lawyer. So that way, it is enriching, it is encashing, and it is even respect-driven, wherein you are looked upon as something that you've achieved at a very small at the very start of your life. You are a judge as connoted for laymen or normal people in the society. So that's a very rewarding practice. Coming to litigational practice or law firm practices, there is one thing that I'll tell you. For the first 5 years, there's nothing, neither recognition, nor the money, nor any achievements on your record. It takes time because litigation is dealing with people's life. In all four, even if you go for corporate litigation, you'll be involved in decisions that make or alter people's and corporations' lives. And therefore, you have to have the touch and sense of practicality coupled with academic excellence for there to make a name. And also into the whole grind. Very practically speaking, people wouldn't hand you over vital or important task as a fresher. They wouldn't risk it that much to put it forth to somebody, because we are all bound to make mistakes. In whatever profession we take, in whatever work that we do, as startups, as individuals, we are all bound to make mistakes. And those mistakes are graver at the initial stage because we are unaware of the consequences. As we grow, the sense of responsibility makes us be more aware of what one small mistake or what one small hindrance can lead to. And therefore, the strata with experiences reduces. Therefore, initially, if you pick up even law firm practices, there'll be toiling hard work, there'll be no recognition. And this is speaking out of this is a very brute reality. It could all be sugar-coated in a way, because this is not Suits coming alive, right? So it could all be stated in a very nice sugar-coated manner that, yeah, you'll be having a very renowned practice and you are part of a very reputed law firm, but it's not all roses all the way. So there is no recognition for, and for a very long, I mean, a lot of litigation practitioners as freshers feel that we are working more as a clerical staff for the initial years than as lawyers. But I tell you, that is what is most important. That is really the most important thing. Because your law school would teach you how to read a law book, how to open a Bare Act, and how to read it. Your practical experiences will only teach you how to scrap out what is required from that law book, how to find the best possible means or defenses in your situation. So the clerical work is very important, because if the ground functioning is not appropriate, then however elated or however well well put forth your legal arguments are, it would just not reach the court. And it makes no sense. On paper, they might be the best suited arguments given, but if it cannot reach the court, it really has no more purpose in it. So yes, in a litigation, if you're an independent litigationer, the practice is even more difficult, because you'll be doing everything at a go. You'll be your own clerk, you'll be your own peon, you'll be the one who'll be dealing with clients, you'll be the one fidgeting to get the clients, and you'll be the one representing it to the court. In a law firm, the advancement or the betterment is that the responsibility gets divided. And you have some guiding factors to let you know how and in which direction can you work, and is there a possibility of bringing forth the best results? So therefore, a law firm practice is that way feasible, because it will teach you in the initial years how to practically put your foot front. Saying that, even in renowned law firms, there'll be less monetary compensation to the quantum of work that you'll be putting forward. There'll be less recognition. Your journey towards becoming a parent associate or a principal associate or a partner would then yield you a lot. But the journey till then would be difficult, because every one of us, we need some kind of appreciation to the work that we put in. The appreciation could be in cash or in kind. The appreciation could be if you've put in a week of hard work, yielded the best result, you'll want the partner coming up to you and telling you that, good done, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to crack this without you. But that doesn't happen. One, because he'll be able to crack it without you. Two, that thing that you feel that is of essence importance is what he'll be able to do by himself. He's hired you so that he can focus on other important issues which are beyond the capability of anybody else except him in his law firm. So therefore, the appreciation lacking is there, which drains out the motivation to continue at times. But the path ahead is very green. Once you put in a few years into a law firm or a litigational practice, and if you give your heart and soul to it, I can definitely tell you that everything then comes at a very fast pace. Once you cross that hurdle of the initial years, it will come at a very fast pace. The money, the recognition, the growth, and today, yes, it was difficult a few years back, but today with digitalization, with advancement of fields of law, you can get it at a very fast track. But you just have to build yourself before you reach to that level. Saying that, you do not command the kind of respect that you get in judicial practice, but you can command more money gradually. Judiciary would pay you initially very good, but there'll be a cap, because your seniority in judicial path is dependent on a lot of factors, and it does not happen rapidly. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. And from a trial court to, from your judicial magistrate court to your sessions court, it can still happen rapidly. But from then, the path ahead is a very time-consuming process. So that way, your monetary benefit that you derive out of that would initially be very rewarding, but then it will reach to a paramount soon. Whereas in a law firm or a litigational practice, there is no paramount. The more you can put in, the more you can succeed, the more you can achieve, the more you earn. But yes, obviously, the profession and the society would give more respect to a judiciary to a judicial judge as compared to what is demanded by a lawyer. But here you have freedom, you have independence, you have the independence of working at your own convenience, you have the independence of choosing what you want to work. You have the independence of dispensing your work and income the way you want to. You could build up your social life. So these are all adage of a litigational or a law firm practice. Moving forth to something what we call personal growth and enhancement, apart from the practical front. As a judge, you'll be witnessing a minimum of 20 cases a day. That is a wholesome, rich experience. That really is. I also believe that the one who's built in the trial courts is a very profound lawyer, because he has known the tactics of both, working with people and creating evidence and then evaluating that evidence. On both, either it's on the bar side or from the bench front. But if you worked in trial courts, you've known to work with people. You've known how is evidence built. You have known the miseries of people, and therefore you've known the importance of what you do as a lawyer or as a judge. And it sounds very moralistic, but it's not that way. It's when you see people there, when you see the way the system works, the way people have that trust upon law as a profession, you become more responsible of what you do, and you feel a sense of pride in what you do. You're happy to make a difference in people's lives. And it does happen that once in a while, when you come across situations, when you see that happiness in the eyes of people in whose life your decision or your hard work has made a substantial say, that is a feeling that cannot be put into words. That possibly would not be achievable that much in a law firm practice, because the advent of the profession is such that law firm practices are very limited to lower court or trial court practices. They're more into corporate and sit-convents. So that's a personal choice, again, because the kind of people that you get to work with in trial courts, it's in either fragment, civil, criminal, whatever zone you choose. Those are very layman and to a very realistic notion, an uneducated population. Uneducated not in sense of degrees, uneducated in sense of what the legalities around are concerned. Whereas the corporate clients that you get in law firms are more enriched on what they want, what they desire, and they are somebody who at times have far more knowledge about it than you. So they'll be able to command that from you. They'll be able to pick up your mistakes before you pick up yours. Because they've been working in this fragment with experienced personals, and because they have a division wherein they have experts for each fragments who have a lot of experiences, and therefore the law firm practice usually does not happen into trial court practices. There are always exceptions to things, but in general zone, if you take up judiciary, you build up a very, very wide experience in a very short span of time. But the con that comes with it is that experience is limited to a field. If you are a judicial magistrate first class, your powers would give you a specific segment of work. You'll become an expert in that segment very soon because you'll be dealing with that in and out. Even if you consider a year of employment as a judge, do the math, with almost 20, 30 cases a day. Would that be accessible to you in any law firm or in any litigation practice? No. You join the best of the law firms, you individually would not be handling 20 cases in a day. So therefore, the experience is very wide, but limited to the areas of law. Whereas when you join a law firm or a litigation practice, you don't have the pick and choose mechanism. So you get experiences of a lot of segments. You're from marine law to corporate law to sports law to international law to arbitration to criminal to civil, service, constitution, everything at a go, because your law firm would have everything going around. So your experience is more diverse, though limited. Whereas here, on the other part of judiciary, your experience is very exhaustive but limited. So again, these factors, nobody can tell you this is good, this is bad, this is better, this is not. Because one thing that I know very well in this profession is that you'll be able to sustain here only if you're passionate about it. Or else you'll get up every second day feeling that I'm slogging, I'm doing donkey work, there is just no point, there is just no path ahead. But if you're passionate about this profession, while we play sports or while we watch series, we never feel it's a waste of time, right? Hypothetically, yes, with the whole planning mechanism in our mind, but while we're on watching the series, we feel it's a time of our lives. It's a good time spent together. When you're in a cafe talking with your friends around, that's a good time spent. You don't consider it as a time wasted. If you're passionate about this profession, the work would not make you feel like it's slogging, but learning. It will come to a point where you wouldn't want to get up and go home because you're very inclined to know what happens here. You wouldn't be looking at your clock or your watch and thinking, okay, when would this meeting end? And it will be the other way around. Your partners, your seniors, your associate will be telling you leave, and you'll be like, it's okay. If I could get 5 more minutes into this conversation, then I could scrap out, then I could understand this more. So this profession could be sustained only if you're passionate about it. What makes your passion thrive more is what you have to choose. You have to be analytical. And the best way, because this 5-year law course is such a boon at times that it gives you 10 internships. Within these 10 internships, you can experiment everything that you want. You can experiment every fragment if you want and be observant. Your internships, you wouldn't be really able to contribute much during your internship to the place where you intern into. But you have to be there as an observant. You have to be there and see whether the lives that they are living around is what you see yourself doing, is what you want. So when you do clerkships, you observe judiciary. You observe the judges functioning. You observe what they can command, and you also observe what they have to put forth. And High Court judge, I tell you guys, deals with 200 matters a day. In any of the high courts or the apex court of our country, you will not find any judge, except for exceptional circumstances, being even a minute late on arriving on the dais. हम college भी नहीं पहुंच पाते हैं time से, right? All of us, we come from the same yawner. When I was there on that side of the seat, I was one amongst you all. But that really takes a lot of motivation and self-driving to do that. The court functioning starts exactly at 11. It ends at 5. Post that, the 200 matters that the judge has dealt with, he'll sign the orders passed in that matter. Once that is done, he'll look up to his administrative work. Once that is done, the judge goes home and 200 files for the next day are sent to his place for reference. And if you have to deal 200 matters in 8 hours of span, you have to be read with those matters. And there is a bar of 3,000 people ready to criticize you on any small mistake that you do. There is live streaming of your performance, wherein there is a population of 2 crores ready to make a meme on you anytime you make a mistake. That is immense lot of responsibility. And this is just administratively. You are dealing with each person's, your one verdict, your one word can make or break anybody's life, and you see that making and breaking in front of you every single day. So that commands a lot of responsibility. You really don't have scope of errors. I see most senior counsels in their office by 8:39, and nobody leaves before 9. When you go to brief a counsel of a matter that you have been working on since a week, and you go and talk to him about that matter, he'll be read with each page and corner. In my experiences, most counsels would point out the page numbers to you while you are fidgeting your file. That here, what you're searching for, it is this page number. So success doesn't come by being associated with somebody. Success doesn't come just because you feel that, थोड़े साल काम करेंगे तो gradually हो ही जाएगा. Success is not an easy path in whatever genre of practicing law you choose. Everything would demand hard work, everything would demand dedication, and most importantly, discipline. If this is what you can put forth, then yes, in this profession, success is assured. Just keep your pace and keep moving, one day at a time, one step at a time. But be driven, we have a goal to look up to, and then it wouldn't seem so difficult. I think that's all from my side. If there are any questions or queries that any of you all have in mind, you all are please free to ask me. I always wanted to do that. I'm a second generational lawyer. My parents are lawyers, and seeing them, as a child, I was very inspired because my parents were criminal lawyers. And I had seen I'd seen clients who would come home, who will felicitate my parents, who will be crying and saying that if you wouldn't have been there, we wouldn't have our son or husband or child back. And it was a poor state because poverty was rampant. I'm talking about back 30 years back. So this is rampant. So the way I had seen people have respect for them, that is what had inspired me to become a lawyer. No, it's not. See, firstly, I'll tell you one thing. This is a skill-based profession. So in my personal opinion, it doesn't matter if you're a first generation, you're a second generation, you're a third generation, or whatsoever. Because if you have the skill, you'll make a mark. And if you don't, none of it is going to help you. But yeah, as first generational lawyers, what I'll tell you is, within your 5 years that you have here, I'll suggest you explore every possible circumstances, every possible opportunity. Take in as much of co-curricular activities, academic co-curricular activities that you can take in. Moot courts, debates, workshops, seminar, whatever works for you, whatever you enjoy. But take that up as much as you can. In your internships, be very experimental. You know, try your hands at everything so that you will get to know that this is where I like being the most, and it will spare you the misery of figuring it out while you enter the profession. So your years of toiling and hard work would reduce because you at least have decided, have a discrete sense. Don't limit yourself, but have a sense of decision that this is where I want to reach at certain point of time. So you can use these 5 years to build that. And since now you all have great access to, through your college, through your universities, you all have great access to interactions, you all can as well take good advantage of it. Is there anything else from anybody else? Yes, that's it then.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Your guiding words will definitely help all the students to choose their career path.
Thank you.